Hi, everyone. Bonsoir. Welcome to tonight's virtual screening of The Falconer. I'm Nadia, Director of Diversity and Belonging and Special Assistant to the President at Manomet. We are so excited to be co-hosting tonight's screening with our friends and partners from Amplify the Future. Many of you may or may not know Manomet for our work in bird research and conservation. We use science and collaboration to strengthen flyways, coastal ecosystems, and working lands and seas across the Western Hemisphere, and work together with many partners to help nature and local communities thrive. Falconry is not a topic that typically overlaps with the work that Manomet does with birds, but when Annie Kempfer, director of the Falconer, reached out to me with details about the Falconer and we learned more about Rodney Stotts' story, we were fascinated, especially because of his work to provide access to nature and to connect children with birds. After learning more about Rodney's work and just birding in general, I honestly wish I was exposed to such a wonderful skill and hobby or pastime growing up. So I'm not only pleased with tonight's turnout and the opportunity to share this film with you all, we at Manomet and Amplify the Future are very excited to be participating in this event as a celebration of Black Birders Week. After we watch the Falconer together, we'll be joined by Rodney Stotts, master falconry at the heart of this film, and Tyke James, Orietta Estrada, co-founders of Amplify the Future and co-chairs of the Black and Latinx Scholarship, who will be leading the conversation with Rodney and I. And now I'd like to hand things over to Orietta Estrada to say a few words before we start the film.
Thank you so much, Nadia. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Bienvenidos todos. And happy Pride, everybody. My name is Orietta Estrada, or Orietta Estrada. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I live in Maryland, and I live on the tribal lands of the Piscataway Nation. I've been a birder for nearly 10 years and a wannabe falconer for about half of that time. I, along with Tyke James, who is a 2020 co-organizer of Black Birders Week, am the co-founder of Amplify the Future and co-chair of the Black and Latinx Birders Scholarship Fund. Our group is a small team of talented professionals, and we love what we do, and we do it with a lot of passion. Our goal at Amplify the Future is to raise funds in support of Black and brown birders studying in STEM, and we do our part to make education more accessible and equitable in this way. We, through our work and partnerships, aim to amplify and center folks who identify as Black, Indigenous, and or as folks of color, and show support for TLGBTQ identifying folks and communities. Black Birders Week has brought us all together. It is a week-long series of online events highlighting Black naturalists, nature enthusiasts, conservationists, and it increases the visibility of Black birders who face unique challenges and dangers when engaging outdoor activities. This movement was created as a response to the Central Park burning incident and police brutality against Black Americans, in which just over a year ago, on the same day, another Black man, George Floyd, was murdered by police. Tonight, we will be screening The Falconer, a documentary about one of the very few Black master falconers in this country. The Falconer, who is Rodney Stotts, is a hero among conservationists, birders, and falconers, myself included. And through his organization, Rodney's Raptors, he creates experiential learning programs for adults and children so that they can experience birds of prey in ways that they would not be able to do so otherwise. Mr. Stotts is also a staff member of the Earth Conservation Corps under their Wings Over America division, and a youth community leader who connects young people to the environment and their community. Rodney Stotts is a healer. His respect and love of nature, animals, birds, and his community shines bright throughout this documentary. We all would like to thank Annie Kempfer and the Black Birders Week organizers, Black AF and STEM, for giving us this opportunity to watch the film together. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Peace and blessings. How you doing?
I'm doing a lot blessed, brother. We here. Absolutely, absolutely. On this side, I'm really happy we can do this. Folks, put your love, put your blessings, put your appreciations in the chat. We're looking at them. We're appreciating them. We're getting started here this evening. That was quite a screening. Ooh, how you feeling? That's wonderful. I guess I should also introduce myself. I'm just coming out of nowhere screaming on the mic. My name is Tyke James. I am the proud co-chair of the Black and Latinx Birders Scholarship Fund. I'm also the co-founder of Amplify the Future, something that I'm really happy to have grown with Orietta and our partnership with Manomet, bringing this together. And of course, super, super happy to see you again, Rodney. I don't know if you remember, but back in 2015, I was a young man at a conference in Ocean City, Maryland. Yes. And that conference was on environmental education, environmental jobs. Right. And, you know, I was, you know, I have a picture. I look, it's before my facial hair. It's before my facial hair. But, you know, it's really happy that I can see you again and get the Q&A opened up with Orietta and Nadia. And yeah, again, I just want to thank you so much. Orietta, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Hello, Rodney. Very nice to meet you finally.
Nice to meet you too.
And Nadia, really happy to have you as well. How you doing, Nadia?
Hello, hello. Sorry, I dropped off for a second.
Great to have you. Well, it's great to have you. So we did get questions in the chat, and please keep your questions going in the chat. We'll be moderating those as we share our role in asking questions to Mr. Rodney. I just feel like I have to call you Mr. Rodney because I didn't, when I knew you, I wasn't an adult, so I couldn't, I couldn't just be like, Rodney, you know, I have to.
Making me feel super old, buddy. Making me feel super old, man. No. Truly, the respect there is there, and I truly understand that. So there's no disrespect, my brother. None whatsoever.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And now we have Orietta. I want to turn to you for an intro.
Yeah, absolutely. So many of us in the DMV, and for those who don't know, that's DC, Maryland, and Virginia, not Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. Many of us, you know, we fight about that. So many of us in the DMV are really proud and familiar with your work. I'm curious, how did Annie find you and approach you for the documentary?
Actually, it wasn't a documentary to begin with. She was in film school, and her aunt came to a program that I had did, and she had told her about me. She reached out to me, and she was explaining to me that she wanted to do it for a thesis for school. So it actually started as a school project, and then it just kept going from there.
Wow.
And it turned out beautifully. It was gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. What was her grade? Did she get a grade on that, or?
She should have got an A.
Yeah, that's I hope so.
Yeah, it started off. It was a 8-minute film, and yes.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Awesome. I want to ask a follow-up question to the questions already started. What goes through your mind, Mr. Stotts, when you see a child with a raptor on their glove for the first time, handling, you know, such beautiful birds of prey? Can you tell us a little bit what goes through your mind and how that feels for you?
Well, actually, just seeing them smile, it like washes your soul in a sense. I used to be a really bad, ignorant person in my younger years and did a lot of dumb things. So now to see people smile, especially when you used to make people cry, it's just a beautiful thing. So it's not just a child, it's anyone, an elderly person your age, young, just to see that wow, that excitement, just that I've never been this close to this before and probably never ever will again. Just that alone is just, I guess, uplifting, knowing that my mom proud and smiling and everything. So that's basically what I see. I see her face in their face. When they smile, she smiles.
That's to the heart, man. That's to the heart. In the film, you say that you found raptors through your work in the Conservation Corps, hacking eagles in the nation's capital. Were there other influences that brought you to be such a profound caretaker for birds of prey? And was it like an automatic lights on quick transition, or was it something that gradually grew on you?
Well, I never really was a people person. Even when you sell drugs, you're not a people person. The person walks up, you're there for 14 seconds, the transaction is over and they're gone. I always loved animals. I just been an animal junkie, and far back as I can remember, anything that ever happened, from having white mice and tree frogs and anything I was going through, that animal always sat right there with me. And it wasn't that I needed to hear something. It was just a presence. I can say anything I had to say. I can get it off anywhere. And they just still looked at you and loved you right afterwards, like nothing had ever happened. So with every animal is different. You have to build that bond. Once it's done, it's unbreakable.
Awesome.
Truly.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what the process is like to become a master falconer?
Well, to become a falconer, period, you have to have a sponsor. So you need a general or master falconer to sponsor you. Once they sponsor you, you're an apprentice for 2 years. After that 2 years, the person that's sponsoring you will write a letter to Fish and Wildlife telling them that you should be promoted. Now you'll become a general falconer. And in the state of Maryland, you're a general falconer for 5 years before you become a master falconer. So you'll do 7 years of falconry before you become a master falconer. And then there's no class over that. So you're a master falconer from that point on, because you'll do the 7 years first of consistently reporting, renewing your license and things of that nature.
Wow. A lot of work.
Yeah, but it's worth it. It's really worth it.
Beautiful.
Rodney, we have a mutual friend, Suzanne Shoemaker. I apprenticed with her at Owl Moon Raptor Rehab. And I know that in the film, you mentioned that she was your sponsor. So just wanted to say that.
I love her. She is the best. She really is. And believe me, anyone that really, really wants to learn, get in touch with her.
Oh yeah,
Everything
absolutely.
Yes. She's the master of the master. So there you go.
Yeah, in the documentary, when there was the releasing of the bald eagles in the nation's capital, you said you likened it to like letting go of a child, and that's a pretty deep relationship. And you know, I'm interested to know about the relationship you have with your birds. You know, like, what is it that connects you to them? What do you love about them so much? Like, what is it about birds? I know you're an animal junkie. I know you love your dogs. You know, I know you love all animals. Your dogs are beautiful, by the way. But what is it about the raptors for you?
I think mostly it's because it's something that you release and it comes back to you. So like that old saying, if you love something, let it go. And if it comes back to you, it was true. So I believe that's more kind of what it is that your dog and everything else is around you constantly. Your bird is outside in an aviary. You spend an hour or so here or there and you're flying and you're doing things and you're feeding and you're clean. It's not the same. So when you come wintertime and you start to drop the weight and you start to get the bird back ready to start flying and hunting, and that whole relationship starts all over again, and they fly to you when you walk in there and they come straight to you, and you're just sitting there, especially when you release them, you're saying they can go in and never come back to you. So they must love you enough to turn around and come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So just that alone, I think, is probably why the birds would stand out just a little bit more. And then they're all named after loved ones.
Yes.
So when someone passes, the first thing we say is, they're up there looking down on us. Okay, well, where's the bird? Up there, doing what? Looking down on us. So if you're walking and you throw the bird at, the bird's following you, there's your mom, your aunt, your cousin, your pal, your buddy, whoever, right there with you. So a buddy of mine's father passed away Sunday, and he came. I actually just drove back from the sanctuary so I can be here to do the interview with you guys. He came up to see me today, and we were sitting there talking. We said, you know, you die twice. Once when you physically die, and then you die again when someone stops mentioning your name. So our thing is to never let that happen. So we just, don't, see, you about to tear up. You about to make me get up. Oh, okay.
I'm already tearing up.
Oh my goodness.
I'm already doing it. I'm so sorry for your loss.
It's okay. I mean, it's what happens. It's life. He led a great life, and he was loved, and that's the main thing. If that dash in the middle, if love as in that description in that dash, change it now.
Rodney, you have just such a beautiful grip on like this form of eulogizing and bringing peace and bringing grace to life in, you know, what must be and has been for many people a very deep and traumatic time in their lives when someone passes, someone that's close to them. And I just want to thank you for expressing that, because that's not something we see anywhere. That's not something we see when we go to the movies. Like, the best actors don't act that. You know, the best stories aren't told that way. And to see you having that, to see you showing that, like, I just want to thank you for that.
I appreciate it. Truly do.
Likewise. A quick follow-up to that. A question that we had was, how can the community watching and listening support that future and the work that you're doing?
Well, I'm actually starting a sanctuary out at the property that I obtained out in Virginia called Dippy's Dream after my mom. And I mean, the biggest thing is turning woods into pasture land. So any types of farm equipment, old farm equipment that people have, or want to donate tractors or chainsaws, anything like those that can remove trees and stumps and stuff like that, because I have 7 acres. And what I'm actually doing is 3 of the acres are fenced off so that you'll be able to ride the horses. We're trying to cut trails through. The 1 acre will be where we will fly birds. 1 acre will be where we can garden, and everything that's grown is free. So we'll bring every harvest, we bring back up to the city and give everything away for free. And the rest of it will just be an area where you can camp out and cook out and just relax and get back and heal. You know, get away from the city, all of the noise and pollution and gunfire and ambulance and police, and just lay in the grass and feel your heartbeat change and feel your everything about you just fade away. And it's just a beautiful thing to be able to do. So I just want to try to give it to everybody, and it's free. I tell everyone it's profit. I mean, if you can't afford something, doesn't mean you don't deserve it. So it's donation based. Whatever you can afford, donate. If you can only afford 50 cents, put 50 cents in, but still come out and enjoy, ride a horse, fly a bird. You know, they'll say, I would love to do something and I can't afford it. You get up every morning and feed the homeless. You're almost homeless yourself. So because you didn't have $1,000 to pay somebody, should you never get to experience that? No, that's not right. I have a horse. I'll teach you how to ride. All you have to do is show up.
That I just want to like repeat what you said, because I think it's so important for everybody listening, and a message for everybody to take away, as on top of many more messages to take away. But just because you can't afford something doesn't mean you don't deserve it.
No, ma'am.
That really resonates with a lot of us, and that's really powerful. Thank you for saying that.
Oh, no, ma'am. I mean, I grew up poor. I didn't have a silver spoon, a bronze spoon, or even a wooden spoon at sometimes. So, I know what it is to have nothing sometimes. And the little that you have, why wouldn't you share it? Especially if you know how that feels. Why would you allow someone else to feel that way if you can make a difference? And it didn't hurt you at all. My mother used to tell you, kindness don't cost a thing. So tip your hat to somebody that day. Open the door. Buy them a cup of coffee. You'd be surprised what that one little simple thing did for that person that day who was homicidal, suicidal, going through things, lost their mother the night before, you just never know what anybody's going through. Why wouldn't you make someone smile if you could? I just don't understand that.
Wow. And part of like the imagery you created when you shared the dream, Dippy's dream, not just your dream, when you shared that dream about being out, grilling out, chilling out, being on horseback, I have to wonder, have you ever, and are you interested in flying hawks on horseback?
Well, actually, falconry started on horseback.
Oh,
so what I want to do is
teach
ride
me
my
this.
horse. Yeah, see, when horses go running or you're walking on horseback, they used to have the eagle on a glove. So once the game was flushed out, they would release the bird. What I want to be able to do is have the bird follow from tree to tree, because the bird will follow you. Even if you're on a bicycle, your bird will still follow you as long as y'all have a line of sight. So once you get the horse used to the bird flying up, because they see wings getting that close off the side, then you can start releasing your bird, call for it, ride off on the horse, stop them, call for it, and you can start hunting on it. Because once you stop the horse, the game will run out. Because of all that thumping, it'll chase the game out. So then you hit your whistle, then you have to train your horse to stand there, though, or you're gonna have to walk all the way back to the barn.
Wow, my brain is just blown. Like,
I'm looking forward to that.
Think about that. Yeah, right.
Like, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go to Dippy's dream. I'm ready.
But that's what I'm in the process of doing. I mean, I've been plugging away. It's one side. Over the last 7 months, we were able to cut down about 1,000 trees. So we opened up enough area where grass is actually starting to grow, and we'll get the goats and stuff down there so they can start eating out the weeds.
Nice.
And, just a little bit of everything. My mom grew up on a farm. We all grew up loving animals and living off the land and doing everything. So we want to teach people how to do these things. Because just like with the pandemic, when it went on, a lot of people didn't have access to fresh vegetables and things that if you knew how to grow it in your home, you would have never had to worry about.
Yeah.
So like that old saying, I can take you fishing and fish for you, you'll eat today. If I teach you how to fish, you'll eat for the rest of your life.
Rodney, we have a question from Rose, who's an audience member with us today. She says, or they say, I'm sorry, I am also an animal person, and I know what you mean about that bond. What was the most profound bond you have experienced with an animal?
I had the dog, one of the dogs that was in the documentary, the big brown one, his name was Gotti. When my mom passed, I lost it. He would not leave me. I mean, I would push him away, put him in a cage. He would cry and cry. He just would not leave my side. And it was more of him helping me, listening to me, the whole sleeping underneath of me. I mean, he was my big pillow. So I think that was the most special moment I've ever had with any animal was then, because I was really gone and he just wouldn't let me go nowhere. He would not, he just wouldn't. So I think that's probably the most special moment.
I'm going to follow that question up with another audience question. Anonymous person from the audience asked, what is the difference for Rodney's Raptors between now and since the film was made?
Well, since the film was made, that sanctuary was actually being built in Laurel, Maryland. The sanctuary that I'm actually building now is in Charlotte Courthouse, Virginia, where the house is. That just before the pandemic, a lot of things went on up here that just wasn't right. And then the pandemic hit, and it was more of, in order to really make this happen, you have to move. You have to go there and do it there. It's not going to work here. And then realizing that, just had to start doing it, and then that was it. So it was just more of, things wasn't working out to be able to serve and do what I really wanted to do, because it's still a program for adjudicated youth. It's still the way that it was set up. So I still couldn't technically do the things that I'm able to do now, because there's another program going on. And so you got to now squeeze in time for this and that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like that would have been right.
Mm-hmm. One of the parts of the documentary that really resonated with me, among others, was the comment you made about the President of the United States. It was that part in the documentary where everybody was like really excited about like being around Bill Clinton, and they're like, oh, we're going to meet the president. And you were like, so what? I'm just as important as the president. And I agree with you. Like,
every one of us.
We are as important as the president. And I wanted to ask if you could speak a little bit more on that, especially for the young Black and brown folks and folks of color listening who might be in situations right now that are making them feel otherwise, because there are so many of those situations where people do not feel as that they are as important.
Well, my mother always told me, if you believe in something, you fight for it, no matter what. She told me when I was a kid, you're just as important as every single person walking on this planet, because you mean just as much to me as they mean to theirs and everyone else. So if everyone's truly equal the way that you claim they are, who are you? You're just a figure. You're the person who make this decision. Well, I make this decision. That's all. You're no more than the next person. However, believe in who you are. Know who you are. You are a unique individual. There's no one on this planet, even your twin, there's something about you that makes you still unique in some way. So everything about every one of us is special to somebody. And if you don't realize that, look in the mirror. If you don't like the person that's looking back at you, do something and change it. Love that person that's looking back at you. I don't like the person that's looking back at me. I love him. I adore him. I know that he means just as much to me as they mean to them. So don't ever put anyone on a pedestal above you. I don't care if you're a superstar and you have millions of dollars and fancy houses and all that. So what? If you drop dead right now, what did all of that do? You had a bunch of vultures all circling, trying to get that. If you made 1 million people smile and you drop dead, guess what? Your legacy will shine through forever, because somebody gonna always say, that man made me smile.
I love
That's
that.
why it's so important to do that, to just make someone smile. It's just,
yeah. I've never met another Falconer like you, and I've met a few Falconers because of my wannabe. I'm a wannabe Falconer for like 5 or 6 years, but I've met a lot of Falconers, and I've never met a Falconer like you. And you know, something that I'm wondering, you know, this documentary, I don't know, what do you think that this signals something to mainstream falconry? I mean, like, are there ways that you wish that mainstream falconry would change without stepping on anybody's toes or anything? Or is this really not about the falconry? Is it about the community, or like, is it about both?
it's about healing. See, say you get into something because you like to hunt, or you know, you may like the thrill of the chase. And I do too. All of that is fine. But what I found that when I was hurting the most, this is something that made me feel better. When I walk with my birds through Haynes Point or Anacostia Park, and people stop their cars and jump out and I see they feel better. So it started more of healing than hunting. so much. I still do what I have to do with them. However, during the off time, it's more of a healing process then. And then when you go out to hunt, especially if you have Harris Hawks, you can take them out and take a nice little group out and take the whole family, and y'all walking for hours and bonding and talking, and there are no cell phones ringing. There's no tablet in your hand. You got to talk to each other and look at each other and communicate.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
Harris's hawk. That's my bird. That's
And
my
you know,
raptor.
it's a fun fact. I think it's coincidental. We have a vice president, last name Harris. Maybe that's an opportunity. Maybe we talk that into
We
existence.
switched the honorific.
Hey,
Yeah, right.
Right.
Maybe something to keep open. Just keep it an
you
open
never
mind.
know. You never know.
Absolutely.
Or these audience questions. I have a two-parter for you, Rodney. So besides your son, do you have other family involved in falconry? And then what lessons do you think hawking can bring to younger generations of Black falconers?
Well, actually, two of my sons are falcon. Well, one was a falconer for 3 years, and then he stopped. And then my other son picked up falconry and just kept going. So he's a DC firefighter, and he's still doing it. As far as for I would say for minority, Black, brown, whatever, if it's not something that you have a passion for, don't get into it, because you have lives, these animals' lives in your hand. So for those who really want to do something and get into it and learn, it's a beautiful thing. It's something you can pass on to your kids, make something generational instead of passing on debt, because that's really all we pass on is bills and debt. So I want you to learn something that you can heal with, that you can help others with, that you can teach others with. So it's not just so much of brown and Black or whatever, because to me, all of us hurt. All of us go through trauma. All of us have pain. All of us need a hand up. There's no race that I know that everyone is beautiful. Everyone is great. So we all suffer. We all have these problems. So I would just like it to be for not just young people, older people, get out, exercise. Gives you a reason to get up in the morning. It's something that is unlike any other animal, because I can't say that they're a pet. It's like,
Right.
It's a different sort of purpose of what you have to do. You got to get up in the rain and go out there and feed this bird. You got to get up in the cold and go out. So it changes so much about who you was, and so if you can get into it for that, just that healing, the changing, and seeing that there's a whole bigger world out there than Southeast, Northwest, the little corner that we hang at. That's what's more important to me. So it really doesn't matter who it is. If I can open your eyes, or this can open your eyes, please open your eyes.
Right. And speaking of opening your eyes in reference to the face, we got a question from audience member Laura. What has been your worst injury from your birds? Laura has shared that she had a Harris Hawk land, or they had a Harris Hawk land on their face during a free flighted bird show, and has the scars to this day. Don't worry, the video isn't on for participants, but I'll take your word for it.
My worst injury, I had my bare hand in the middle of a show. My bird was used to me throwing food from one hand to the glove for her. So as I was talking, my hand came up, not paying attention that there was no food. Her talent went inside of one finger, came out the other side and into the other finger. So standing there, the people said, "Doesn't that hurt?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Why aren't you going on?" I said, "Because the more you move, they'll call me Lefty from now on. This bird is strong. She will rip right through my fingers. I am not going to move." I tipped the bag over and a mouse fell out. And so she let me go, jumped down on it. I wrapped my hand up, finished the show, and then went in the car and cried like a baby for a minute. Yes, because that pain is tremendous.
Oh, man. I was not expecting that. Oh, wow.
That was the worst injury.
You're okay now,
Yeah.
though.
Oh, yes. It was
Yeah,
my
that's
fault. It was my fault.
well, that's why you tell the kids, don't put your hand out like this because it'll cut you.
Exactly. Because if it grabs you, believe me,
Wow.
they have the strength. When they land on these animals, they can crush bone and everything. So what do you think your little finger is?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why there's a trust that you're supposed to have with your animal. And the person that had their bird free flying like that, they probably didn't have the weight on that bird right, and that bird didn't respond the way it was supposed to. I've never had a bird fly off or do something in the middle of something that it wasn't supposed to do. Not to say that it won't ever happen. However, usually if their weight is right, the bird responds right.
That's actually a really good point for our next question from Anna. Weight really matters when it comes to falconry and hawking and keeping the weight of the birds like near perfect, if not perfect. Anna would like to know if you could talk a little bit about the difference between caring for hawks versus caring for owls and how their personalities are different and like what kind of special kinds of care do they need?
Well, basically, it's not really a different care for a hawk, a falcon, or an owl unless there was an injury to that bird. Raptors, there's basically a general practice with them. The training of them would be different. When you train falcons, you're training them to a lure. Falcons fly from the sky. They attack everything in the sky. They eat mostly birds. Hawks fly from a perch. So when you're training them in an entirely different way. You'll also train them to the lure so that you can get them back sometime because it's something that'll get their attention. But usually falcons, you'll train with a lure. So it's not really a difference in care for them. The weights, like you said, you have to feed them, make sure that you change the diet up. Don't give them just all mice and rats, give them chicks, give them the different variety of foods that they will catch out in the wild, things of that nature. And then pretty much the rest is basically the same throughout. It's just when you're training them, that would be your biggest difference.
Thank you.
Another fun question, I think. Thank you for that one, Orietta, because I love owls, by the way. So, Mr. Stotts, are you currently, an audience question, are you currently sponsoring apprentice falconers, and will there be a Rodney School of Falconry? If so, where do I sign up?
Well, hopefully there will be one day. Right now I'm in the process of moving from Laurel to Virginia. I may end up sponsoring in September, October, depends on if I'm settled down there and have everything up and going, or at least halfway completed, so that I would then have time to dedicate to someone else, because it is a lot of time involved. And once you get into it, I make people sign a pledge with me that you must stay into this for at least the 5 years. So by that time, you're a general falconer, 3rd year, and you must sponsor someone else. I will not sponsor you if you don't sign this. And I'm gonna sue you if you don't hold true to it. You must pass this on. If you have knowledge and you don't spread it, it dies with you. How does that benefit anyone else? So if you got something from it and it made you feel how it made you feel, it made you change who you were and do things that you knew the people around you were now happy and proud of, and you wouldn't share that? No, then I would not sponsor. So you must be willing to help someone else.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I'm going to call you in September, Rodney. I have your phone number now. You think I'm kidding?
Yeah, and Rodney, I want to say too, I'm willing. I used to pull invasives. I don't mind lending a hand. I don't know my way around falcons or hawks, but man, I know a way around cleaning a field. So if I could help you with that, you got that.
Most definitely.
So Taiki and I worked together on the Black and Latinx Birders Scholarship, and we love music. We love music so much. We make music part of like our fundraisers and just part of like our regular like social media stuff. So we put out like playlists and whatnot. And I'm a musician, and Taiki's a dancer. And I couldn't help but notice in the film, like, you're always singing. You're always singing. You're always singing. And I love it so much. Like, and I know maybe you're not even aware of it, but like, as you're like, you know, putting the jesses on or like bringing food to the birds, you're kind of just like humming a song or something. And I would like to invite you to do a playlist for Amplify the Future for our monthly playlist. We do a monthly playlist. You got to let us know, like, if you're interested in doing that. We would love to have the Rodney Stotts playlist. That would be amazing.
Definitely. You just let me know how many songs you want.
Sounds great. Yeah, sounds good.
Nice.
Well.
Now here we are, 7 minutes left in our evening, and this has been quite a ride, hasn't it? I mean, there are so many great compliments, you know, wonderful blessings in the chat, you know, and I hope you're seeing that too, Rodney. I hope Nadia, Orietta, I hope you're seeing that. Danielle handling everything backstage, I hope you're seeing that. You know, it's a big thanks for all the work, you know, we're doing together and what this really means for the movement. And in closing, Rodney, I want to ask, is there a point which you feel like your work is complete?
No. Actually, I'm. It's so funny you said that. The guy that father who passed, we were together today and we were talking, and I told him, he said, "Do you ever feel happy and proud of what you're doing?" I said, "No." He said, "You're supposed to." I said, "I can't, because the moment you feel like, okay, I've done this, I finished this, you're going to start relaxing. You're not going to put the same motivation, the same dedication, you're not." So I set a goal. Once I get close to reaching that goal, I set another goal higher than that. So once you reach the first goal, you didn't even remember that you had set that, because you have another goal that's higher than that. So you'll never be complete. That way you'll always keep fighting, striving to do something else. You're never finished. So no, I'm never done. I'm sorry, never, no.
I appreciate that. And as we finish, I want to give Nadia part of the floor to speak on behalf of our great partner and great supporter in this effort in building a better birding community with Manomet. How can you help finish us off?
I just want to say thank you to our partners, Amplify the Future and Black and Latinx Scholarship, Taiki and Orietta. Thank you for co-hosting this event with us, Mr. Stotts. And thank you to Annie and yourself for lending yourselves for this evening. The film was beautiful and we're excited and, you know, hoping to work with you in the future. And I just want to say, as long as that soundtrack is playing anywhere, I'm more than happy to join you. So thank you all, and thank you everyone on this webinar, on this screening. We hope that you guys will join us for a future event, and thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank you guys. Truly.
Orietta?
Thank you so much. Yes, it was an honor to finally meet you. I've been a fan of your work for a long time, and thank you everybody for joining us. And we look forward to hearing more from you in the future. And Taiki and I will be calling you.
Yeah, 100%. I live in DC now. We got to go on a bird walk. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to catch up on.
Most definitely.
We got a lot of work we can do together, and I really look forward to supporting you, you know, in any way possible. And now with 3 minutes left, I just want to give you the floor one last time, with all due respect, Mr. Rodney. How would you like to end the evening?
Now, I'd like to seriously thank you guys for having me on. I'm truly honored and blessed to be here. Thank everyone for tuning in and listening and watching the documentary. If you take anything away from it, please just be kind to somebody. Stop all this violence, stop all this nonsense, stop all this hate speech, all this terrorizing, to do all of that, all that energy that you had to use takes 10% of that to make someone smile. So why burn all that energy to hate? It makes no sense. So if you can make someone smile, make them, tell them you love them. Just, and I mean, really, just even a stranger, because we're supposed to love everyone as our brothers and sisters. So someone you don't even, I love you, and just keep walking. You just don't know what that may have done for that person. I think that would be the thing I would like to close.
If we could just give I mean, there's not enough sound in a room to give the right ovation to this. This has been really incredible. Thank you doesn't go far enough. We appreciate you. We hope you stay blessed. And of course, thank you everybody. Rose put it in there. Wild applause and cheering. I think that sounds about right.
We love you. How about that?
We
Absolutely.
love you.
I
Absolutely.
love you guys also, definitely.
We love you back.
Definitely call me. We'll catch up.
Absolutely.